Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm joined with Dr. Taher Eldanaf, the head of the interior design department of Ajman University. My name is Abdul Muhammad, and my colleague is Ajman Shiheli. First of all, thank you, Dr. Taher, for joining us today. We are going to have 5 different parts that we're going to go through, and we're going to start with, first of all, the background and role. I want you to tell us about your background and your role in interior design and project management.
Well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me in this nice podcast, and I consider that this an important interview to learn from each other. I welcome you also in my office, and I'm really happy to have this discussion with you as my dear students as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, as you introduced, I'm now in the academic, and I own my PhD in art and design. I'm also a practitioner in interior design, as my background as in bachelor was interior design. I have a quite good experience in design and fit out and practicing of interior design. We will go part by part more about this.
Is there any project management going on
Yes.
right now?
So let me tell you about my previous experience in project management. Definitely, we still follow up with our let's say colleagues in the market, my batch who graduated, that we learned from also. In addition to my previous experience in project management, I was in charge for the design part, generating the design, sitting with the client, brainstorming the idea first, of course, and then we sit with the client and we discuss the preliminary ideas, and then we move further with the project until we reach into the final agreement to send this project for a higher phase, which is the fit out. Of course, I gave you a very brief about this part. We can say that you need to be very close to your client, you need to understand their emotions, you need to understand their needs, you need to understand their budget constraint, what pros and cons they are expecting, what are the challenges. You have to learn this from your discussion with your client, and what are their expectations in the end. So you have to be very aware about the psychological and the social part in the same time. Once this has moved on, the next phase or the higher phase will be the execution or the fit out. Okay, in terms of group work, in design office, you cannot run alone the project. You need the admins with you, you need the designers, you need the seniors, you need the manager. Everybody is part of this project. Now, let me give you an example. If I'm in charge about a project and I have a team who I am part of, like CAD operators, draftsmen, admins, usually my main role was to control all this team. I don't say control, work with them more or less, because I consider like we are all the same. In order to make the project successful, you have to do it this way. So I was in charge for collaborating with my team in order to deliver the project requirements eventually. Of course, with the detail of designing and so on, and the brainstorming and generating the final design. I have to do the check-up. I have to do the full, let's say, reviewing before we fix the meeting with the client and present what were our outcomes.
So as of right now, we have finished the first part, which is the background and role, and we're going to be moving into the team collaboration and responsibilities that you should be taking as an interior designer. The first question is, how do you coordinate with other team members, designers, contractors, clients during a project?
Amazing. That's a very important question that we need to focus on, because dealing with contractors is different than designers, is different than clients. Yeah, and you have to have different, let's say, frequency or level of engagement and interaction with each one. Your patient has to be different between here and there. Your understanding has to be different. Usually we say that, yes, the client is always the right stakeholder, definitely, but the designer is also part of the project. The contractors are also part of the project. So the challenge is how to bring everything together on one table under your control. So dealing with client, definitely you have to respect their expectation, respect their budget constraint, respect their requirements, and move accordingly. You have to be also very aware about the design team that you are dealing with. Who are my team? What skills I have in every person and on every personality? How can I put each personality or each skills in the right let's say, box and move accordingly. Last is the contractor. I need also to know what type of contractor I'm dealing with, their expertise, years of experience, what projects they have achieved, what are their main power or strength, what are their weaknesses, and I have to avoid this or evaluate this. So it's very important to evaluate each case by case before to jump into any meeting. Readiness and your preparation is very important in order to be eventually the maestro of the project. Regarding my team, I always keep everybody in loop, everybody engaged, everybody is the designer, everybody is responsible. There is no way to keep anybody out of the loop and expect from them to be engaged. Email is very important, phones, sometimes emotions take over, so you have to be very close to them, you have to show them respect, you have to show them that you respect your emotions. So it's not always like a professional practice. Yeah, professional practice sometimes is mixed with emotions, so you have to balance between these two. You have to be very close to people.
Right now, you told us that you are inside academia. I wanted to know if you have done any projects or successful team projects before stepping into academia, and can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, definitely. I did a lot of projects, but I can name one of them. It was with one famous company name. It's called Igloo Lighting. We did their showroom in Al Khous back then in 2007, 2006. That was one of the most interesting project to me, I can say. My role was the designer in this project, and I was site supervising with also team in my office, or in the office that I was working in. Uh, it was a very fun project because it was colorful, and in the same time you have to take into consideration that it's a lighting showroom. So the idea is to browse the product, is not to browse your design. So my design was the background of the main product.
Is there pictures out right now online?
I can search, no, because I think the showroom is closed now, but I can show you later on some cases of the real project. I have them in
Yes,
my
that would be interesting to see.
storage. This is one example. Of course, I have a lot of other examples. I designed once an office in Dubai also. We can say open office. I learned a lot from the employees who were working there before to start designing. I lived with them for a couple of days to see how they deal with each other, how they collaborate, how they interact, how they have fun time, how they close deal or they finish their tasks. I realized that the office atmosphere is very flexible, very encouraging towards engagement. So my design was also following the same atmosphere that was there. So this is a very important point in design.
Right now, for part 3, we're going to be discussing the challenges and the solutions you could face as an interior designer inside companies or inside project teams.
Challenges are always there. Every day you have a new challenge. Um, it was nice experience, of course, but it was not easy at the same time. Definitely, sometimes you have one of your group is not in the mood. It doesn't meet the deadline. They have issue with the design. They find obstacles. They are finding issue by communicating with their colleagues in the office. So definitely, you have a lot of challenges. The skills here comes is how to overcome this and how to find a plan B. You should always be aware that you have to have a plan B. In office, definitely you will face a lot of challenges. One of my employees or one of my designers is absent today. So what shall I do? I stop. I wait until he's back or she's back. No, I have to find a plan B or a solution, and I have to be very flexible and dynamic in the proposed solutions. So if you want an example, in the same project that I was talking about, the office that we did in Dubai, definitely sometimes the design was delayed or late due to some miscommunication, misunderstanding. I have to jump directly to the office and take an immediate action by solving the issue, sorting it out. Sometimes I have to interfere. I draw by myself, which is fine. You have to accept any role. It's not like I'm a senior designer. I don't interfere and I don't touch the AutoCAD. I don't know. I have to be there for any challenge, and I have to take immediate action, because eventually, as I've said in the beginning, your client is different story than your office, different story than the contractors and the site.
How do you handle different opinions or handle conflicts between or within your team?
Acceptance accept everybody's opinion is very important. Do not ignore, do not give a feeling that your voice is not heard to anyone. Accept everybody's opinion and try to be a very diplomatic and social person in your response. This is very important because people would love to be in a position where they have someone who listen to them, who listen to their opinion. So acceptance, I think, is very important, and being aware about different ages is also very important. Sometimes you have people who are older than you, younger than you. That's also a different challenge. The characteristic of people that you work with is also important.
Yes, that is true. But why I feel like it's one of the biggest issues inside interior design. It's that interior design in general, as an idea, as a concept, it's a job of taste, right? Or you could say every and each designer has a different taste in interior design.
Yeah.
Every and each designer thinks like you could find this table right now is amazing in your opinion, and I could find it extremely boring. And then we both are working on the same team. Such a conflict. How could we get to a solution?
Definitely, yes, I
You
agree
get what I
with
mean?
you. Yes, I agree with you. That's why I told you in the beginning, acceptance. You have to, you have to expect that you are dealing with different cultures, different background, diverse backgrounds. Even people are coming from different beliefs, different culture, different personalities. But this is a very common issue, by the way, in interior design offices. You have your opinion, I have my opinion, and when we present both to the client comes with a third option that is not very close to what we are saying. So that's why I'm saying, yes, I'm open. If I have two people who are in clash about their ideas, put your both ideas here, presented, and you presented also in front of the client, and then we will see the client what will be his preference or her preference or their preference. Okay, so definitely if I find some weakness, I have to interfere and I say, no, we prefer to improve this to that level. Your option is not improved, so we cannot keep it for 1, 2, 3 reasons. You have to give reasons. Okay, never ever cut the way to anyone or the road of their ideas in a way that, no, your idea is bad. There is no bad idea and good idea. There's always reasons, justification for your selection. Does this meet with 1, 2, 3 from my client? Yes, I will put it on the table for discussion. If not, sorry, find another solution, find another taste, find another table, or whatsoever the example is. Okay, so it's not like a personal preference. That's a very common issue in practice in interior design, to find the changes happening, modifications, increase in budget, reduce in budget, replacement of items. So again, you always have to be prepared, and this will not come from prediction. And I was not expecting that this change will happen, but because I have gone through different experience in projects, I can say that I can find alternative and I can find a solution or plan B based on the situation itself. So you have to evaluate the situation. What type of change? For example, the client changed his mind or her mind about the design after we are in the fit out phase. مثلا, we finished the fit out and she said, no, I didn't like it. Or they say, we want to change and I'm not gonna pay. مثلا. So here you have a different, let's say, issue that you need to evaluate it in different way. The changes happen in the design phase, it's fine, we still can modify. So we have to know on each phase on what type of change, what type of challenge. Based on that, we react. Definitely some projects or some, let's say, some clients, they say, no, even though you fixed this, I'm not really ready to accept. I need the changes. So what type of changes you need? What is your expectation? Why this is bad for you? Why you dislike it? So we need to learn. Based on that, we evaluate whether we go for variation in modifying the design, or we can find a way from the design itself to modify it in a way that will cost us less effort and money in the changes.
Right now, we're going to be getting to the fourth part, which is decision making and project execution, which is usually the final steps inside a project. And the first question is, how do you make key decisions during a project?
From pre-planning until fit out and execution, every single part require key decisions. Because you need to close the loop. You need to close the loop of the design. You need to close the loop of material selection. So you have to be crucial in your decision, and at the same time keep in mind that you have to be flexible. So How to reach this point is by getting the consent of everyone, that we are all happy, let's say, to a certain percent or to a high percentage with the outcome. Finish. Here the key decision should come. When you face any challenge, any issue, like relating this to the previous question, we have so many issues. Sometimes your client keep changing, keep asking you for improvement, and they don't want to consider the budget or the fees for this. So you have to be key in your decision here, and you have to give a key decision. You have to be crucial and say, I have to stop this according to the timeline of my schedule. I have to follow my timeline, and I understand your concern, but this is the case. 1, 2, 3. We give explanation. So here again, a key decision has to be made. A key decision is also made in promoting your juniors in the office. So that's very important, and it's a key aspect in any project. You have to empower the people who are with you, because you cannot keep handling and taking care of every single detail. You need X and Y with you to meet the clients sometimes, to cover you up with a meeting. So you need to give this trust to your team in order to cover you in the future also. That's a big challenge, actually. Even though you can claim that I understood my client taste, I understood my client direction and design, usually things appear to be different on reality than the 3D. Or let's say the imagination of people could not get, our link between the 3D and the drawing and the reality. However, today we have a lot of tools that I really encourage you as a designer to use, like VR, AR. This will give clear image to the client and will reduce, let's say, the conflict between the reality and the project. So balancing this is to keep listening to your client, to know what they need, again, to a certain point, and at the same time, I am listening to my client, and I have to keep in mind in my background that, in my back brain, sorry, that I have team in the office, and I have skills, and I have time, and I have other projects running. So I have to balance between the requirements and what skills I have, or what resources I have in my hand, and to what extent I can balance between both. Eventually, I'm not doing magic, I have resources, I work according to it. I have skills, I put my skills in the discussion in order to manage between the expectation and what resources I have.
Right now, we're going to be discussing the final part of our interview, which is the best practices and lessons learned in interior design. And I'd like to start it off with basically, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned about working in a team throughout your interior design life?
The best lesson that I always say, and I'm proud to say this, and I think you have to do it also, as I've said in the beginning, acceptance and sharing. Do not think that one man can do everything. It's not a one-man show task. Team is always needed. Respect is important, from seniors, from clerical, from admins to juniors to client. You have to deal with them the same. You have to accept the diversity. You have to engage in this diversity, and you have to deal with a very open-minded and, let's say, open heart to discuss any idea, and to accept that somebody will say no, which is healthy. Yeah, it's important to hear no in your discussion. If everybody is always accepting with you and saying yes, we agree, this means that there is something wrong. When you hear the no is important. When you respect the no and you react to this no, that's the most important also part. So acceptance and engagement and socializing. The more you connect, socialize, the more your skills will be under your control. Understanding the main theme of diversity and team collaboration is something that will come, of course, by practice and by socializing. And it will come from your home, it will come from your relation with your friends and the office that you will work on in the future. My advice is always be open, be sociable, accept the opinion of others, accept that somebody always bring an opposite opinion to yours. Accept that somebody is asking you to keep changing, like your client. but to a certain
To a
extent
certain
again.
extent,
Yeah,
yes.
and in a way that you can control or balance the discussion. So keep learning. Every day is important to learn. Uh, the, 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 the major school is life. The major school is people, experience with people, different experience. Traveling also will give me a nice experience. But in my office, I always encourage them to uh, interact, share knowledge even. Don't hide information, because when you share, you will be shared also by someone else, some knowledge in the future. Uh, this is life. It's karma. The way you deal, it will come back to you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Uh, well, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And
you.
of course, it's not our last interview, not our
Yeah,
last
right. I'm
meeting.
happy to.
We have a very long life
Yes.
ahead of us. We're gonna
Inshallah.
do another meeting
Inshallah.
soon,
Yes.
inshallah. And yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank
That's
you so
about it.
much.
Welcome. My
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you, and
Thank
all
you.
the best in your project.
Okay.
Thank you so much.